Yesterday marked the latest in President Trump's unprecedented series of U.S. tariffs that are designed to reshape the international trading system. The ambition of these measures is enormous. The effects on the global economy will be monumental.
Prime Minister Mark Carney hitting back on U.S. auto tariffs with a 25% counter tariff on American vehicles not compliant with the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement. Canada is already seeing the tariff impact on the auto industry. Stellantis is pausing production at its assembly plant in Windsor for 2 weeks. Starting Monday, there will be temporary layoffs on both sides of the border.
Donald Trump thought he could bully Canada with threats, insults, and crippling tariffs, but he just got hit with a reality check. Canada isn't backing down, and what they just did has shocked the world. If you're tired of Trump's chaos, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more truth they don't want you to hear.
Introducing a 25% tariff on U.S. vehicles, while also exploring a coalition of like-minded countries for trade alternatives without its closest neighbor saying, quote, "We can do better than the United States."
We're touched by some of the senators representing border states. I represent a district on the east coast of Canada, right up against the border of the state of Maine, to see Senator Collins and her colleagues standing up in the Senate and saying that it's not in the economic or security interest of their country to have this kind of dispute with Canada, I think was reassuring, because we believe that too. Canadians deeply respect the United States, the connections. As I think everybody, I hope people in the United States know, the connections are deeply personal for so many Canadians. In my case, I studied there. I have cousins, first cousins that live there. People do business there. Millions of Canadians visit the United States. So the relationships are so personal with the American people. I think what Canadians are struggling with is why the Trump administration would seek to do such damage to our economy. Stellantis, which is a huge automobile company, as you know, laid off 3,600 people in Windsor, right across the bridge from Detroit, this past week.
Trump's trade war begins. To begin with, former U.S. President Donald Trump has kicked off a new trade war by placing high tariffs on Canadian goods. A tariff is a tax added to items when they are brought in from another country. Trump said these tariffs are needed to protect American workers. However, many people believe this is just another one of his harmful and unfair ideas. His actions have made both Canadians and Americans upset. These taxes are not only affecting businesses, they are also hurting regular people on both sides of the border. Palm Springs shows love to Canada. Meanwhile, in the middle of all this trouble, one U.S. city is showing a lot of kindness to Canadians. Palm Springs, a popular vacation city in California, has put up signs that say, "Palm Springs loves Canada." The city's mayor, Ron DeHart, said the signs are a message to Canadian visitors. He wants them to know that the people of Palm Springs do not agree with Trump's actions or his rude comments about Canada. He said the city still welcomes Canadians with open arms. In fact, around 300,000 Canadians visit Palm Springs every year. Many come to escape the cold Canadian winters and enjoy the warm California sun. Some even stay for months. They bring with them around $300 million in spending, which supports about 2,000 jobs in the area. These jobs include people working in hotels, restaurants, shops, and even theaters. When Canadians stop coming, local workers like maids, cooks, and janitors suffer the most. Canada fights back with tariffs.
Today, I'm announcing that the Government of Canada will be responding by matching the U.S. approach, with 25% tariffs on all vehicles imported from the United States that are not compliant with CUSMA, our North American Free Trade Agreement.
At the same time, Canada is not staying quiet. The Canadian government has taken strong action against Trump's unfair tariffs. On April 9, 2025, Canada placed a 25% tariff on cars made in the United States that don't follow CUSMA rules. CUSMA stands for the Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement. It helps the three countries trade fairly. Canada is also adding tariffs on U.S. car parts that don't come from Canada or Mexico. This means American cars will cost more in Canada, and fewer people will buy them.
Today, the federal government followed through. It delivered a direct blow of its own, 25% levies on billions in U.S. goods. Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc unspooled the details from Ottawa.
The Government of Canada, following a dollar-for-dollar approach, will be imposing, as of 12:01 a.m. tomorrow, March 13, 2025, 25% reciprocal tariffs on an additional $29.8 billion of imports from the United States. This includes steel products worth $12.6 billion and aluminum products worth $3 billion, as well as additional imported U.S. goods worth $14.2 billion for a total of $29.8 billion.
Earlier in March, Canada had already put tariffs on $30 billion worth of U.S. goods. These include many everyday items like orange juice, peanut butter, coffee, beer, and even motorcycles. The goal is to push back against Trump's decisions and protect Canadian industries. If Americans don't feel the pain in their wallets, nothing will change. That's why Canada is hitting back hard. What's more, this trade war doesn't only hurt big businesses, it will also hit regular people in both countries. In Canada, the prices of many American-made products will go up because of the new tariffs. This means Canadians might start buying fewer U.S. products. In the U.S., things will get more expensive too, especially cars and other products that use Canadian parts. Americans might see higher prices at the gas station and the grocery store. Therefore, Canada's plan is not just about taxes. It's about sending a strong message. Trump's tariffs are unfair and damaging, and Canada will not sit back quietly. The new Canadian tariffs are meant to show U.S. businesses that they should speak out against Trump's trade war. If American companies lose money and jobs, maybe they will push the U.S. government to change its mind. Canadian shoppers are changing their habits.
That the Canadian government has put on and the weakening Canadian dollar. So in some ways it benefits consumers. It benefits consumers indirectly by keeping cash in Canada and also employing Canadians, keeping Canadians employed at the companies that we're buying these products from.
Are there certain things that perhaps a grocery store we can only get in from the States, for example, avocados or things like that, or is everything now available here in Canada?
No, there's some things that are from the United States. Some companies I know, like Loblaw, have looked to Mexico too, or South America in lieu of that. To get certain things, but I think a fair amount of products can be substituted outside of the, fresh fruit and vegetables categories. A fair amount of products can be made in Canada, so it sounds like they're finding ways to make it happen.
Would this create less choice at all for the consumer?
Meanwhile, the Canadian government is asking its people to shop smarter. Instead of buying American goods, they are telling Canadians to buy Canadian-made products. This helps Canadian businesses grow and protects Canadian jobs. It also makes sure that the money stays inside Canada and doesn't go to support Trump's policies. Furthermore, this trade war is creating problems for companies that do business across the border. Many businesses rely on each other for parts and products. With new tariffs, they may not be able to get what they need at a good price. This could cause delays, raise costs, and make it harder for them to compete with companies from other countries. As a result, many businesses are scared. They don't know what will happen next. Some are stopping their investments or plans to expand. This slows down the economy and makes it harder for workers to find jobs. Trump's actions are causing a lot of fear, not just in Canada, but in the US too. Palm Springs can't escape the fallout.
We do the exact same thing with the steps.
Ethnic thing, we say no.
We gotta get down.
Ethnic cleansing, we say no.
Even in a liberal and friendly city like Palm Springs, the effects are real. The city is known for its support of LGBTQ+ rights and for being open and welcoming. But even here, Trump's policies are making things worse. People are protesting outside Tesla stores. Canadian tourists are staying away. Real estate agents are getting calls from Canadians who want to sell their homes and leave for good.
I spoke to Governor Trudeau on numerous occasions, and we'll see what happens. But it just sets up so good for them. Look, the people would pay much less tax than they're paying right now. They'd have.
Also, Trump's comments do not help. He has mocked Canada and even called the former Canadian Prime Minister a governor. Like Canada is just another U.S. state. These remarks show a deep disrespect and have made many Canadians furious. His words are not just jokes. They are insults to a longtime friend and trading partner.
At the same time, this impact of the threat of sovereignty against Canada has rallied people in Canada around their flag. People are clearly saying that will never happen. We will never be the United States. We can be your best friends, best neighbor, best allies, but forget it, we'll never be your 51st state.
Not only this, Canada's Foreign Minister Melanie Joly made it crystal clear that Trump's comments about Canada becoming the 51st state are no longer seen as a joke. In an interview with the BBC, she said, "This is not a joke anymore," and added that many Canadians feel insulted, mad, and angry. She pointed out that people are now even booing the American national anthem at hockey games, a powerful sign of how deep the frustration goes. In fact, Melanie Joly warned that Canada may just be the beginning. She said Canada is the canary in the coal mine and that Europe and the UK might be next. That's why she flew to London to talk about building a joint plan for counter tariffs. Canada is not only defending itself, it's rallying its allies to push back against Trump's trade threats. Trump's tariffs are making it worse.
Now, it's not in my habit to agree with the Wall Street Journal, but Donald, they point out that even though you're a very smart guy, this is a very dumb thing to do.
Beyond this, after Trump slapped 25% tariffs on Canadian products entering the US, things took an even worse turn. Canada's Prime Minister at the time, Justin Trudeau, called the move very dumb and hit back with his own set of retaliatory tariffs. Trump also threw on a 10% tariff for Canadian energy exports and threatened even more restrictions. The economic attacks added fuel to the already burning fire of tension between the two countries. Soon after, Trudeau resigned in January 2025, and Mark Carney took over as Canada's new Prime Minister. However, the message stayed the same. Canada is not giving up its independence. Carney made it very clear. Canada will stay a free and sovereign country no matter what Trump says. He promised to defend Canada's economy and its national pride. Act of war. Canada doesn't hold back.
Well, he's sending us a very clear message of the kind of man he is. Our neighbors are no longer our allies. We are dealing with a regime next door to us that is ignoring the international rule of law, and we have to take this.
Meanwhile, Canadian Member of Parliament Charlie Angus took it a step further. He called Trump's 51st state comment and trade bullying an act of war. In an interview, he said, "When you say someone doesn't have a right to a country, that's an act of war." This is how seriously Canada is taking Trump's behavior. These aren't just angry tweets or silly comments anymore. This is real, dangerous talk. Also, Canada is taking steps to protect its borders and prepare for whatever comes next. Prime Minister Carney signed a $6 billion deal with Australia to boost Arctic defense systems. Canada is also spending $420 million to expand its military operations in the Arctic. These are not moves made by a country that feels safe. They are the actions of a nation ready to stand its ground. Border tensions are hurting everyone.
We will drive 4 hours to avoid the border. That's right, that's what we're hearing. It's the uncertainty of the trade war. It's the tariffs. Am I going to be stopped at the border? Am I going to be held up? Am I going to miss my flight? Am I going to be able to go back home once I get home? These are the actual things we're hearing right now.
Even worse, the growing conflict is now scaring regular people. Travel between the US and Canada is down, not just because of anger, but because people are afraid. Canadian travelers worry they'll be stopped at the border, miss flights, or even get stuck. Some are driving hours just to avoid U.S. airports. The fear is real, and it's changing how people live their everyday lives.
I think in what President Trump said yesterday, that there is nothing Canada or Mexico can do to avoid these tariffs, underlines very clearly what I think a lot of us have suspected for a long time, that these tariffs are not specifically about fentanyl, even though that is the legal justification he must use to actually move forward with these tariffs.
Trump tried to justify the tariffs by blaming Canada for problems like illegal immigration and fentanyl. But Canadian leaders say that's nonsense. Trudeau pointed out that Canada accounts for less than 1% of fentanyl coming into the U.S. Canada even added new border security measures back in December to calm Trump down. But none of it mattered. Trump just kept pushing harder. As this trade war drags on, both countries are getting hurt. In Canada, inflation has jumped to 2.6%, and businesses are slowing down. People are worried about jobs and rising prices. But the U.S. isn't winning either. American companies that rely on Canadian goods are now facing higher costs, and that could mean lost jobs and expensive products for U.S. shoppers. Final thoughts. In the end, Canada has had enough. It has dropped the hammer on Trump with strong words, tougher tariffs, and new military upgrades. The country is standing up for itself with pride, courage, and unity. Canadians aren't going to let Trump bully them into submission, and now the world is watching. What started as cruel jokes and unfair tariffs has turned into a full-blown fight, and this time, Canada is leading the charge. Thanks for watching. Drop a comment, like, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on Trump's mess and the world's clapbacks.